还不停地下，你看，一楼的铺面都快要满到广告牌了，怎么办呀？这次损失好大哦。
What began as an ordinary tropical disturbance over the South China Sea transformed into one of the season's most disruptive storms in less than a day. Tropical Storm Maysak rapidly intensified before striking southern China, becoming the first tropical cyclone to make landfall in China in 2026. But despite carrying only tropical storm-strength winds, Maysak proved that a storm doesn't need to be exceptionally powerful to become exceptionally dangerous.
这雨还不停地下，你看，一楼的铺面都快要满到广告牌了，怎么办呀？
Within just 27 hours, the storm made 2 separate landfalls, unleashed record-breaking rainfall across Hainan Island, crippled transportation, and left millions watching rivers rise as flood and landslide threats continued long after the strongest winds faded. Here's everything we know. During the early hours of July 3rd, Tropical Storm Maysak strengthened rapidly over the warm waters of the South China Sea. Forecasters closely monitored the fast-developing system as it moved northwest toward China's southern coastline. At approximately 6:20 p.m. local time on July 3rd, Maysak made its first landfall near Yelin Town in Lingshui Autonomous County on Hainan Island. The storm arrived with sustained winds of around 83 kilometers per hour. While those winds were not strong enough to classify it as a typhoon at landfall, the storm carried enormous amounts of tropical moisture. Instead of widespread wind destruction, Maysak delivered something even more dangerous: hours of relentless torrential rain. After crossing Hainan Island, the storm entered the Beibu Gulf, where it briefly maintained its circulation before moving toward northern Vietnam. Around 9 p.m. on July 4, Maysak made its second landfall along Vietnam's Quang Ninh province as a strong tropical storm, before gradually weakening inland. Although the storm itself has continued to lose strength, its heavy rain bands remain a serious concern across southern China and northern Vietnam. The biggest story quickly became the rain. In the popular tourist city of Sanya, meteorologists recorded an astonishing 351.5 millimeters of rainfall, setting a new July rainfall record for the city. Across southern and central Hainan, many communities received between 150 and 250 millimeters of rain in just one day, while isolated locations exceeded 350 millimeters. Entire streets disappeared beneath muddy floodwaters. Videos shared across social media showed vehicles struggling through thigh-deep water, powerful currents rushing through neighborhoods, uprooted trees blocking roads, and fierce waves crashing against coastal areas. Residents watched as heavy rain continued hour after hour, turning normally busy streets into rivers. Meteorologists warned that the greatest danger wasn't the wind, it was the overwhelming amount of water falling over a short period. As the storm approached, authorities moved quickly to reduce risks. Operations at Sanya Phoenix International Airport were suspended beginning late on July 3rd, forcing the cancellation of more than 90 flights. High-speed rail services across Hainan Island were completely halted. Passenger ferries crossing the Guangzhou Strait were also suspended, leaving travelers stranded while dangerous sea conditions persisted. Schools closed in several affected areas, while emergency agencies urged residents to remain indoors until conditions improved. Although these disruptions caused major inconvenience, officials believe they significantly reduced the risk of injuries during the storm's passage. Authorities across southern China activated emergency plans well before landfall. China's National Meteorological Center issued storm warnings while Hainan renewed its Level 3 typhoon response and geological disaster alerts.
你看，水都淹，快淹到一楼的广告牌了，一楼的门面全部被淹了。这样的水有。
Guangxi later upgraded its emergency response as forecasters warned that heavy rainfall would continue well after the storm weakened. In neighboring Guangdong province, more than 23,000 people were evacuated, including offshore workers and residents living in vulnerable coastal communities. Fishing vessels were instructed to return safely to port before dangerous weather arrived. Across northern Vietnam, emergency officials coordinated preparations for potential flooding, strengthened embankments, protected agricultural areas, and organized evacuations in communities vulnerable to landslides and flash floods. These early actions likely played an important role in preventing a much greater disaster.
哇，这垃圾可怕了，这
Many people naturally associate danger with the strongest hurricanes or typhoons. Maysak tells a different story. Although its winds remained relatively modest, the storm moved slowly after landfall, allowing rain bands to remain over the same locations for extended periods. Hainan's mountainous interior forced moist air upward, producing even heavier rainfall through a process known as orographic lifting. At the same time, the storm interacted with the seasonal monsoon, continuously drawing tropical moisture inland. The result was a classic example of what meteorologists sometimes describe as a weak wind, heavy rain event, a storm where flooding becomes far more destructive than the wind itself. This type of event has become an increasingly important forecasting challenge because rainfall often continues long after the tropical cyclone begins to weaken. Although Maysak is now weakening over inland areas, the danger has not completely passed. Forecasters continue to monitor the risk of river flooding, flash floods, mudslides, and landslides across Guangxi and neighboring provinces, as well as parts of northern Vietnam. The remnants of the storm continue interacting with seasonal monsoon moisture, keeping heavy rain in the forecast even after the circulation itself fades. Officials are urging residents living near rivers, steep hillsides, and flood-prone communities to remain alert for changing conditions. Damage assessments are also continuing, with authorities still evaluating impacts to agriculture, transportation infrastructure, and local communities. As of the latest official reports, no large-scale confirmed fatalities have been announced, though investigations into the storm's full impact remain ongoing. Tropical Storm Maysak serves as another reminder that the strength of a storm cannot be judged by wind speed alone. Sometimes the greatest danger comes not from violent gusts, but from relentless rainfall that overwhelms roads, rivers, and entire communities. As recovery efforts continue across China and Vietnam, emergency officials remain focused on preventing secondary disasters while monitoring rivers and unstable hillsides in the days ahead. We'll continue following developments as new information becomes available. If you found this report informative, consider subscribing for accurate, fact-based coverage of major weather events from around the world. Stay informed, stay prepared, and thank you for watching.